Since when did advocacy become so cringe? It seems like activism has become nothing more than corporates trying to make profit. And of course, these corporations don't care about anybody but themselves and their financials. Before corporate greed set in, it used to be a way to make an actual difference. Now it's become more of a buzzword that's just really used for anything. We have companies during Black History Month talk about historical figures and then at the end of the month just disappear. Instead of actually having real conversations and trying to help the communities that they're talking about, we just move on from them. It has really turned into tokenizing the Black community and trying to make money off of them. Pride Month is no different.
What are you eating this Pride? Well,
America paints the streets and companies make rainbow colored cans because it's a way to let the community know we care. But at the end of the month, fuck them. That's how corporations have moved over the past couple years.
Of course, there's Target. Pride Month means so much to them that they set up one small area in their 20,000 square feet of store to sell you a Pride t-shirt they had made in Indonesia for 29 cents landed because they believe so much in the cause.
Well, Target will be dialing back its Pride Month merchandise this June.
Once these months are done, it's 11 more months of radio silence.
Not shop at Target, or else you're gay and you're a pervert.
These statements are nothing more than a show to the public because they don't actually care about the advocacy for these groups. However, there are some people in the world who are still trying to change it. Malala Yousafzai is someone who has been trying to change the world since she was a young girl. At just 11 years old, she gave a speech that said, "How dare the Taliban take away my basic rights for education?" After that speech, she was invited and appeared on multiple talk shows, making her public image grow, and the Taliban were also very aware of this. October 2012 at 15, she was shot in the head, and this was an assassination attempt by the Taliban on her way home from school. She was airlifted to a military hospital where they operated on her for 5 hours, trying to remove the bullets from her head. She not only survived, but they created somebody who would fear nothing from that point on. Her attempted murder sparked outrage throughout the world and ignited people in coming together. And this caused the UN to put a bill together that would have children back in school around the world. She received a Nobel Peace Prize at the age of 17, the youngest to ever do it. She has been named one of the most influential people in the world in Time magazine 3 years in a row. Because of everything she's gone through in her country, the president of Pakistan started a $10 million education fund in her name. It has to be said that while she has done a lot of good, she is not perfect. She has been engulfed by Western media and put on this pedestal as one of the good ones. And because she's so involved in Western media, she's kind of lost her way a little bit. And I think because of all this happened at such a young age, she never had a chance to mature, and there's a lot of conflicts that she has not spoken up about. And I think it's right for people to be upset about this because essentially she's been moved to more of a position of a pawn and a talking head. And this goes back to my point of tokenizing advocacy. It seems that the starting point of many gets confused later on when you start incorporating money and fame. And I don't think Malala is immune to that. It brings me to another activist, Nimo. She is an activist in the Amazon who supports the indigenous people there.
Y también decirle que todos los indígenas que vivimos estamos luchando día a día para la vida.
To get a better understanding of how quickly technology has changed the indigenous people's lives there, you can look to her grandfather, who was a legendary warrior whose main goal was to hunt and help others survive. And that warrior spirit is not lost on her. When she was 12 years old, she went to visit her aunt who lived near an oil well. And it was her first sight of what the influence of greed can do to the indigenous people and their land. Since that moment, she has been fighting against the government for the human rights of the people in Ecuador. Her battle against the government was them not auctioning off the land for oil extraction, and that they must go through the consent process of the citizens that live there. And she won this ruling against the government. And people from all over came to celebrate with a huge parade. And even now, she goes toe-to-toe with oil corporations, creating communities against Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, and forming an alliance with the indigenous people in these regions. These types of stories are not talked about enough in the world. This is true activism that is still happening. And it really comes down to good news just does not sell. We care so much about pointing out bad actors of movements that are trying to help people. There are so many men and women that are still fighting to change the world for the betterment of everyone. And my goal is to try to cover them and shed light on those risking their lives and freedom to try to change the world. If you're curious about me, I've been making content for about 9 months now. And what I talk a lot about is oppression and those that are suffering from it. And up to this point, I've donated all of my money that I make from social media. Now, of course, I'm not battling governments, but it's a small gesture to try to help those that are in need. When I compare myself to Malala or Nimo, I think I'm not doing enough. But I also remember that comparison is the thief of joy. And I'm sure they all made small steps to get to where they are today. I think we all hit a point in our lives where we think that we want to change the world. Well, this is my attempt.